Hey everyone, this is Victor with Life Coaching Insights and Mindful Meditation. And in this episode, I want to talk a little bit about something that I think a lot of us can overlook at times. And a lot of times, because we overlook this, we may get into situations that require some fixing. In other words, we could have prevented certain situations that may be unpleasant, although there are lots of lessons in those as well. But I think if we practice a little bit of mindfulness into how we're experiencing things and how we're looking at things, we can certainly learn a lot from that before we get into a situation where we reacted in a way that wasn't productive for ourselves and productive for other people. But with that, I also want to say that it's not healthy to repress what you're experiencing. It's not healthy to repress how you're feeling about a particular situation, because when we repress or we don't acknowledge what's happening and how we are reacting and responding to situations, then those emotions get locked into our body. They get trapped. As a massage therapist for over 20 years, I see that quite a bit, where people come in for therapy and we hit certain trigger points and you'll see them react to that. Sometimes it brings up certain memories. And in massage therapy, we have something that's called muscle memory and tissue memory. And a lot of times there can be a lot of negative experiences attached to physical pain. And I don't want to sound too woo-woo about it, but if you spend the time studying this and understanding this, you'll recognize the patterns within yourself as well. But the only way that we can recognize these patterns is by being a witness. And by being a witness, we can stand outside of ourselves, if you will, if we take a moment and just observe ourselves, observe our life, observe our reaction and our interactions with other people, with situations, and how we respond to those. So what I'd like to do is invite you to participate in this mindful exercise. And what I'd like for you to do is find a comfortable spot in your home and in an area where you will not have any interruptions or distractions. So if you need to pause the podcast before you start, that's okay. Just come back and rewind. But what we're going to do is we're going to do an exercise on being a witness. And we're going to witness our own experiences in life. So as you settle into your spot, just find a comfortable position. There's no right or wrong position for this exercise. Find a spot that feels right for you, whether it's laying down, sitting, just something that's comfortable. And what I'd like for you to do is, if you will, close your eyes for a moment and bring your awareness to your breath. Now you're listening to this podcast, so it's difficult to listen to your breath at the moment. But that's okay. This is not a breathing exercise. It really is a mindful exercise in terms of witnessing your life, witnessing yourself, your actions, your reactions to feelings or situations. So for a moment, just think back to a time where you had an unpleasant experience with someone. Maybe there was an exchange of words. Maybe there was something that was said and you felt upset about that, and maybe perhaps you felt offended or you felt angry. And as you start to think about this situation, I just want to remind you that we're only going to practice this as a witness. So in other words, stand outside the situation and just look at yourself from a witness standpoint and detach yourself from what you experienced that day during that particular situation. And just take note of that for a moment. And as you do that, just take a deep breath. Do one more. Because remember, when we breathe, everything changes. When we take a breath, our body gets distracted, our mind gets distracted when we consciously and mindfully breathe. And that's important to do so when you're witnessing, because it's easy to get attached to the feeling or to the emotion of that particular situation. So just bear witness for a moment in your life and how you reacted to this particular situation. What did that feel like when this event happened in your life? Whatever it may be, whatever it is that you're thinking about. And of course, it's different for everyone. But the important part is to witness how you felt and to identify this scenario and how it affected your day, perhaps, or maybe even your week. And it's that moment that either made you upset or made you angry. Perhaps you got emotional, you shed some tears. And again, just witness it. Don't become attached to the emotion. Just look back and identify the emotions that you experienced at the moment. And as you do that, let's take another deep breath. Now, it's difficult oftentimes to not get attached to the emotion of that day or that event or that time. But it's just important to recognize how you felt and just look at it again from a witness standpoint. And just make a mental note what you felt that day. And it doesn't really matter what caused the event, because the important thing to do here is not place judgment, to judge yourself or anyone else for the situation. Oftentimes when we look at this and we start to witness our reactions, the greatest lesson there is just identifying how we respond to situations. But oftentimes we can get attached to the guilt of how we responded. If we responded in a way that we don't feel is ourselves, we oftentimes tell ourselves, I shouldn't be feeling this. Or I thought I was stronger than this. Why am I such an angry person? Or why am I so emotional? And the biggest choice that we have there is whether we latch on to the feeling that's presented to us, or whether we simply observe. Now it's difficult because oftentimes we want to respond and we may feel like we need to represent or we need to stand up for something. And so it's okay to feel like you need to do that. Again, it's not healthy to repress our emotions. But it is okay to also just witness them. And just like anything else, it takes practice. So maybe for today's exercise, you chose something that might have been a bit heavy for you. A time, a situation with someone that it was just very, very challenging. And if that's the case, then I invite you to rewind a little bit and let go of that attachment, perhaps, and just witness the event. And a lot of times, if we just make mental notes of what it is that caused us to react that way, we can dive a little bit deeper. And also, a lot of times, if we journal about our emotions, not so much about what happened, but rather how we felt about it, there's so much insight behind that. But again, it takes practice. And something to really, really explore is that, the emotion of anger is oftentimes stigmatized. If someone or if a situation makes us angry, or something that somebody said makes us angry, a lot of times, people say, gosh, you're so angry, or gosh, you're so judgmental, or whatever the case may be. But it's very rarely explained to us that anger is a natural thing to feel. It's perfectly okay to feel it. And sometimes even it's expected. But the challenge really is not to become attached to it. But like anything, identifying these emotions and finding a level of awareness takes time and it takes practice. It's important to ask the questions, if the emotions that arise within you, do they completely dominate your actions without your awareness of it? Or are you in a space where you begin to notice how and when these emotions arise within you, but you still can't seem to free yourself from their demands and their control? Or are you in a space where you're fully aware of the emotions that arise, but you feel less attached to them when they do arise? And this can allow you to react to them in a way that doesn't rob you or those around you from the peace that was present before the situation arose. And I want to reiterate that it can be difficult. And it really is not about judging yourself or those around you, but it is more about being aware and understanding how we respond to situations. So when you're ready, bring your awareness back to the room, to your body, and let go of any attachments that you may feel at the moment by thinking about this event that we're exploring. But I do want to remind you that if you're feeling that tension, that stress, and you just can't shake it, a couple of things. It's not easy. It takes practice. Like anything, it takes practice. Second, honor that feeling and honor that emotion and understand where it's coming from. And the way to do that is to become aware of it and always be present about it. Most people don't do that, and which is why we see such an imbalance in our behavior and as a society, as a group. And there's more of them than there is of us, of people that are mindful. And that's not judging them. That's just making an observation and understanding how you as a person are going to take full responsibility for how you feel about things and how you react and how you respond, and do you hold on to these attachments. So with that, I leave you until the next episode. Thanks again, everybody, and have a great day.